Friends, thank you for watching my channel. I just want to remind you, if you need wallpaper, go to www.wallpaperboulevard.com. Tell them Spencer sent you. In fact, if you use my hashtag, Spencer Colgan is wallpaper, they'll be sure to give you 10% off at your checkout. No matter how much you order, they have a wide selection of wallpaper. Check it out. You doing a sheetrock repair? A blowout patch? A California patch? There are many names for this, repairing this hole in this wallboard. You want to make sure that the half-inch sheetrock you have in your hand is the same as the number of inches of the existing. This is half-inch, so is this. Where you make the cut is important, okay? You want to have about 1.5 inches of paper to do the blowout patch. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We want to have paper that goes over here. So we're going to put mud under it. We're going to make it look nice, okay? So now, the first thing is to cut our wallboard. I'm doing it fast. You can do it neater with the right tools. I'm going to show you how we do this. Right now I have the perfect amount on each side of this repair. Bring them in close. You see how it extends about 1.5 inches on each side? That's what you want. Now, you want to cut it on the bad side, the interior side. Don't make the mistake of cutting it on the wrong side. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little guesswork here. The idea is to draw a straight line right down. Okay, that's pretty good there. Now we're going to do the same thing there. Okay, if I'm a little off, no big deal. See, the reason why you want to cut on this side is because you want the paper on the good side. It's very easy to get confused. So you want to cut, just think you're cutting the bad side, so you'll never forget it. I call it the bad side because you know what I mean by that. This is the good side. We're going to paint this. So I cut on the bad side so I can get the paper on the good side. Just pull that off. Don't tear it from over here like I just did. Okay? So now let's fit it in there. We got a nice fit, just show them that. Okay, so far so good. Okay, we'll want to cut that. Okay. So we need it here, but we're gonna cut it over here. All right? We're going to cut it beyond what we need because we need the paper. Let's just make sure. Okay. Okay, I think you're getting the idea. Okay, now let's see how we did. Just a little more. Okay, this should do it. Okay, that'll expose sufficient amount of paper. We're going to fill this in with mud. If you rip a little of the sheetrock off, don't worry about it. Does it fit? Oh, I mean, that was almost perfect. So if you're not perfect, don't worry about it. Now, here's the idea. We're going to do two things that are important. One, we're going to mud the entire opening, and this is going to attach to it. But here's the thing. We're going to do something better than that, and this is what most people don't show you on YouTube. Here's what we're going to do. Watch this. Okay. We're going to avoid this material here so that our paper, our patch, can sit flush with the original wallboard without this texture on it. You agree? Okay. You might want to just take a pencil. This is the top, so you don't forget which side goes where. Okay, now watch this. In case you didn't understand what I meant. Are they watching? I'm penetrating the wall a little bit. And the reason is I remove this, and now you can see what I mean. You're removing this too. You want that paper and texture off. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm voiding this paper. This is going to give me a bump on my wall. You don't want that there. And a lot of people on YouTube, they don't tell you to remove this. Now, I got top, goes on the top. And now this is an original. This fits flush. Okay, let's go to the next frame. Okay, it's ready to go. We did this side, we did the top. And now we're going to do this side. Now, if this happens to you, like it's happening to me, you can, use your imagination. Wet it. It'll probably not be as stiff. I'm going quick. I'm just giving you the basic ideas on how to get a perfect match. You don't want to cut yourself. That's the main thing here. Okay. Okay, let's pull this paper out. If you have texture, it may be a little harder to get the sheetrock off, but just go easy. You can see there was already a repair here. All right. All we're looking to do is to get the drywall paper. We don't want to pull any more off than we need to. There we go. See that? You just clean it up with your blade. And what you realize is that you're really voiding 3/16 of an inch of unnecessary space. You see? You don't want to be putting this patch over texture. You're going to have a bump out of at least 1/8 of an inch. We removed 3/16 of an inch down here. Not so much over here, but you understand what I mean here. Okay, now, because it's not practical for me to cut it over here, here's why. I'm a skim coater. I'm going to float this compound where you're not going to see this. But for the purposes of your repair, if you're not up against a corner, you're going to want to cut this too. Look, I'm ripped here. It's just not going to be practical to do it. For the purposes of the video though, I'm going to do it. But I don't really need to. What we have here is a repair. They did a pretty good job. And they used the green fiber mesh tape, which is pretty good. They floated it very well. I couldn't tell it that it was a repair, but it is. If you have a 5-in-1 handy, that might be a better tool to use than sticking your blade in there. Eventually, the blade is going to snap. Okay, very good. Now, I voided all of the unnecessary space in there, and I'm not going to have any bumps. So that now, my patch will be nice and neat. Nice and neat. See that? Okay. So is this a strong repair? Yes. This is a strong repair because the mud fills this in. And then we put this in and we're going to use quick drying mud, and I'll see you on the next frame for that. Okay, so I'm just mixing up my 90-minute mud. I would like it a little more firm, but that's the way it goes. Okay, so bring them in closer, show them this. Nice and close. Here's what we have. We have our sides all cleaned up, and now we're going to fill them in with mud. So this is what you don't want to use. This is good for taping sheetrock, not for patchwork. It's thick paper. Not only is it thick, when it absorbs the moisture from your compound, it gets thicker. This is thinner, but we don't need it. We don't need it. We're using the patch itself as the tape, and we have voided the space underneath it, as you've seen, in order to displace thick paper. So now I'm going to butter it, as they say in the trade. Butter the sides and fit this right in. You don't have to be expert at it, okay? Now I'm just going quick. I'm not making you the perfect video where my tools are all perfectly clean. No. They're not perfectly clean. I'm doing a lot of things today. I want to get this in. So if you wanted to take your time on anything, do it right here. Butter that joint real well. get that compound against that sheetrock. Okay? If you take your time, do it here. Spend your time doing that. Make that perfect. You want it to ooze out when you put your patch in. If it oozes out, it means you have a solid joining of the patch and the existing. Okay? If it doesn't ooze out, it's not good. Okay? Remember, we have it marked top, very important that you know where it's going. Do you have to do that side too? No, it's overkill. Let's put it in. Okay, now join me on the next frame when I clean up and I'll show you what we got. Okay, so now we're going to let that dry. It's 90-minute mud. It should be 5. So that it dries quicker right away. But 5-minute mud, 20-minute mud, hey, even joint compound you can put in there. But put something in there that dries quickly. 20-minute or 5-minute. Get it in there so you can recoat it, and that's what you want to be looking like. Now let's remember we're flush now. See this? Bring them in close, cameraman. Bring them in close. Come in close. You see this? The line of my paper here? It's flush with the surface here. Now I can texture over this. And it's not flush with the texture, it's flush with the sheetrock paper. Okay? And that's what we wanted. Okay, I'll see you on the next frame when this hardens up. Okay, second coat here. This is why I want 5-minute mud and not 90. Because, let's face it, when you're using 90, it can sag a little bit, right? So, 5-minute mud, it goes exactly where you want it, and it gets hard right away. Okay, we'll let this dry. We'll hit it again as much as we need, and we'll be fixed. I'll see you on the next frame. So this is over 1 hour later, and you can see that it's obviously not cured. So we're going to get ready and do our 5-minute mud since I have 5-minute mud now. And then we will make it look gorgeous. So we switched to 20-minute mud. And we're going to make it all smooth. I can just about feel just a little line here. So I also switched up my taping knife. Because I got my truck back from the shop and I have access to all my tools. Long story, but brought my truck in to get the door lock fixed. And they fixed it. Okay. Now, we're going to widen our repair. If you want to hide your sheetrock, consider the angle I'm using to spread my compound. Look at how close. Can you bring the camera to show them how far away my blade is from the wall? It's about a 5-degree angle. Now, let me show them up close. You see that? You want to leave the lines in there. Let them get hard. It's far easier to scrape those lines off than it is to sand. I don't want to sand. This is practically super smooth. I'm going to put one more coat and be done with it. I can sand where texture meets plaster, or I can take a sponge and do it. Or if your hand is rough enough, guess what? Believe it or not, you can do it with your hand. I realize that most people wouldn't want to do that, but sometimes you don't have the right sanding sheet, and your hand might be able to knock down these ridges very nicely without the use of sandpaper. But that's your decision. Okay, so this is about 25 minutes after the last application. I just want to knock down the lines nice and gently. You know, see that line? Nice and easy. It's better to pull, I think, because when you push, you may slice into it. And who wants to do that, right? We want to get done. Okay. Let's put our last coat on there, shall we? If you have a heater handy, I used a little portable heater. Put it on the compound. Let's see. Let's get some light for them. Now let's bring them in close. No more sheetrock visible. Give this a little sanding. Let it set up for a few minutes. Then you can put your texture on it right away within 15-20 minutes after letting this dry. It's not going to be cured, but you can put your texture on it so that the next day you're ready to paint it. Here's a little trick. Get yourself a sanding sponge. Wet it. Okay, so with a wet sponge, remember it's textured. So it's wet. One of the tricks about the wet sponge is that it doesn't make a sanding mess. It sort of makes the dust stick to the sponge. Okay, one more little patch. I don't want to. If I don't want to sand, I got to fill in. So I'm going to fill this in, and then my patch will be done. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Okay, now I took 20-minute compound, made a very soupy mixture. I might even add a little water to this. And now we're going to do something unusual. This is our repair, by the way. That's it, folks. No more, okay? Now, let's see how well we can make texture. If your mixture is too loose, add a little powder. If it's too stiff, add a little water. Can they get a good close-up on that? Mm-hmm. Are they seeing it up close?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's let it dry and see how we did. This is behind a washing machine, and I think you'll determine where you use this technique or the level of your skill when you use the whisk broom texture technique. But that is going to be, with the exception of the blobs that I will remove when it dries, that's our texture. Just zoom in for them. Okay, thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, please click on like. Tell me how you do your patch. Is it the California patch? Do you use wood behind the sheetrock? Let me know how you do it. Thanks for watching.